Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. So as you guys know, if you're following this channel or been reading around, there are three solar electric vehicles that are in development. There's of course the Aptera, and then there is the Lightyear. It used to be called the Lightyear 1, and now they changed it to Lightyear 0. And then there is the Scion from Sono Motors. Just today, and today is June 9th, 2022, it was a very exciting day for Lightyear because they unveiled their production intent vehicle. So this is their production intent vehicle. And we're hoping that Aptera is going to have a production intent vehicle in a few months. So it looks like Lightyear is going to be the first solar electric vehicle to be on the market. And it's pretty exciting because, all three of these companies are startups. None of them have delivered a car before, and making it to a production intent vehicle and starting production is a big deal. And I'm really happy for Lightyear that they've been doing it. And between the three cars, actually, Lightyear and Aptera have very similar philosophies. They were about getting hyper efficient to make solar a viable method of charging the car. The Sono Scion is a solar electric vehicle, but they didn't really work on the efficiency of the car, so it's not really that much more efficient other than it's a smaller car, so it's efficient just because of its size, but it's not really more aerodynamic, or the drivetrain isn't more efficient. And so it doesn't get a lot of solar capability. It gets maybe about 20, 25 miles a day at most, which is practical if you don't drive a lot. So a lot of European drivers don't drive long distances, and that amount of solar range may be practical for them. But Lightyear and Aptera, um, they have the same philosophy in let's make the most aerodynamic and efficient car possible so that the solar energy we can capture gives us as much range as possible. Now, Lightyear looks a lot more traditional. And back about 8, 9 months ago, I made a video about Lightyear and then also made a video about the Scion. And I'll link those and you guys can check those out. That information is 8 to 9 months old. So it's kind of interesting to see how they've changed. Okay, so I thought today we would kind of go over, and we haven't revisited Lightyear and Sono Motors in a while, and I wanted to see like what progress they had made. And obviously, Lightyear has made it to a production intent vehicle. If you click on this, it shows that now the price of a Lightyear Zero is 250,000 euros, which is about $275,000. That is a tremendous amount of money. Back when I first made this video, the price of the Lightyear 1 was 150,000 euros, which was about $170,000. Still expensive, but not as much as it is now. And then most of the specs have remained relatively the same. They're getting a battery range of about 350 miles. And when they're getting about a little over 40 miles of daily charging. So the daily solar range is similar between the Aptera and the Lightyear Zero. But the Lightyear Zero has just a lot more solar panels. And it is very efficient for the size car it is. If you look at it, it is quite a bit more heavy. So it's about twice the weight of an Aptera. This works out, so 1575 kilograms works out to about 3,500 pounds. But they have 5 square meters of solar array, which is a tremendous amount of solar panels. And then if you look at this is a true 5-seater, and it's got a fairly large trunk. Even with the trunk, it's almost the same size trunk as the Aptera. The Aptera is about 710 liters with seating for 2, and this one is 640 liters, so a pretty big trunk. And you see how it looks. It looks a lot more traditional. It's a full-size car, and they also use in-wheel motors like the Aptera. They're also very aerodynamic like the Aptera. Their coefficient of drag is less than 0.19, which is really good for a traditional looking vehicle like this. Aptera went with a very non-traditional look. and therefore their coefficient of drag is like 0.13. So this is 0.19, which is amazing actually for a traditional looking car, and Aptera is 0.13. And they again use hub motors because hub motors are the most efficient drivetrain. And when we first made this video, we didn't know whether they were developing their own hub motors or they were using someone else's hub motors. And by looking at their website, it turns out they are using Elaphe hub motors, just like the Aptera. So Elaphe is the supplier for Lightyear's hub motor. So there's so many similarities between the two. And then I found out why they increased their price. So the first 150 cars they're calling the Pioneer Edition, they sold those for 150,000 euros. Now they're calling this the Limited Edition, and these are 250,000 euros, and that represents like the true cost of the car. So they are kind of, Lightyear is very interesting in that their engineering philosophy is similar to Aptera, but their business philosophy is very similar to Tesla. So you remember Tesla made a very expensive Roadster that they sold in limited amounts, and they used the revenue from that Roadster to help develop the Model S. And then they used the money that they made on the Model S to develop the Model 3, which is the kind of mass market Aptera, the Model 3 and the Model Y. So looks like Lightyear has the same plan. They're producing this extremely expensive car. You know, it's almost $300,000, and I believe that they're going to try to use the money and revenue from that to develop what they call the Lightyear 2. And the Lightyear 2, they're hoping they're going to make this for about 34,000 US dollars, and this will be a smaller car with less range. I almost wonder if Lightyear and Aptera should kind of join forces and Lightyear develop more of a Europe-centric car. Like when you know Aptera is planning on making a four-wheeled, five-passenger car, and that's going to be very similar to this Lightyear 2, I think. I mean, they're both pushing efficiency. I think there's going to be a lot of similarities. They won't be completely similar because I think Lightyear's using a traditional chassis and body, whereas I believe Aptera is going to stay with their composite body for their four-wheeled vehicle. But you know, they could share information on drivetrain, on solar encapsulation, that kind of stuff, because they're very similar in those ways. And so I didn't want to forget about Sono, and I wanted to see where they were at. So if you look at them, things have changed. Oh, the other thing I wanted to look at is look at this timeline that Lightyear released today. So today they are showing their production intent vehicle. They're going to do test drives for the next couple of months while production is ramping up. And then they're going to start production, and their first delivery is going to be November, December. That was their plan. When we looked at this several months ago, their plan was to start deliveries this summer. So obviously it's been pushed back about 6 months. And that's usually how it goes. It's very rare for these things to deliver on time, which is why I've always said that I would be very, very impressed and happily surprised if Aptera did deliver by the end of this year. I would not be surprised if they had to delay things by 6, 9, maybe a year, 6 to 9 to 12, even 12 months. And I think we have to be patient with them. Sono Motors also they're saying start of production 2023. They are still saying that. They're still saying start of production 2023, and they have made some progress. This was a blog post from just a few days ago on June 1st, 2022, and it looks like they're making their validation vehicles. Now that's the stage that Aptera is in now. The beta vehicles are validation vehicles. They're validating the cooling systems, the solar system, the suspension and that kind of stuff. But with the way Aptera is doing it, which is more cost effective, but maybe perhaps not quite as good as building the entire car, is that they're making the solar validation not in a complete car, in kind of a mule. And the same thing with the cooling and things like that. Sono is making, I think, 17 of these cars. They're making 17 of these cars. And then here's their if you want to go to their website, you can look at this more carefully. But they have an entire um, assembly line uh, diagram and schematic, and it looks way more complicated than the assembly line that Aptera showed about 6, 7 months ago when they had a brief video about their new production facility. I believe it's because these cars are much more complex with many more parts. See, this consists of more than 1,500 parts. Aptera is a much simpler vehicle, and I think much simpler to assemble. So hopefully that works in Aptera's favor and helps them get to production faster. But Sono is making it to validation vehicles, so it looks like they're also making progress. And so yeah, so they're going to make a total of 16 complete vehicles and 21 test structures. Well, Aptera has made one complete vehicle for validation, which is the one beta that we've all seen, and they have probably several test structures to do it. Um, so I think Sono Motors is probably somewhat ahead of Aptera in their production, and they may deliver cars a little bit earlier than Aptera. I believe that Sono Motors is gonna deliver probably sometime in 2023. That makes me think that Aptera is probably going to deliver sometime after that, because right now um, Lightyear already has a production intent vehicle, and they're planning on delivering at the end of this year. Now, that being said, the Lightyear and the Sono are much more complicated vehicles than the Aptera, with more parts, probably harder to produce. So maybe Aptera can make up some time because of the way that it's designed. But anyway, super exciting. I'm very excited for Lightyear One that they have their production intent vehicle. And I think that their strategy, following Tesla's strategy of making a very expensive car to fund their next round, may have been a good strategy. But it makes this car out of reach for most people. I don't think hardly any of us can afford a $300,000 car. Whereas Aptera is starting off with a mass market vehicle. And we'll see if that strategy works out. I hope it does, and I think it will, because just of the way that the car is designed, it makes it profitable. But you see that both Sono Motors has increased their price. So this was 25.5 back 8 months ago when I looked at it, and now it's 28.5. So they've gone up 3,000 euros. And then, of course, the Lightyear one has gone up like 100,000 euros. All right. Well, I think that's quite exciting that Sono Motors and Lightyear are making it. They're making progress. Aptera is making progress. So all three are making progress. I'm very excited for all of these solar electric vehicles, and Lightyear especially. I think they have so many similarities with Aptera in terms of their engineering philosophy. I think it'd be great if they could kind of like collaborate and work together, share technology, and work together on the things that they overlap on, and they can differentiate based on the type of body they have and things like that. Because I think they both have the same philosophy on why they're trying to do what they're trying to do, trying to make a more sustainable and efficient car that's not dependent on the grid. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Again, thanks to our supporting members. Thanks to all you guys who comment below. I read all of your comments. It's very interesting to me to read your comments. And have a great day, everyone.